Thank you for staying with us. Straight to the stock market now, where International Breweries PLC published its third quarter 2022 unaudited results over the weekend. In a return to norm, the company is at Nigerian exchange floor to explain its facts behind the figures. And this is especially needed as the company reported a loss per share of 12 kobo. Also, revenue grew slowly, underpinned by lower volume growth due to supply chain constraints. Now, we will link up with our guests who will help us make sense of this. We have Isaac Anyalisi. He is a securities and investment analyst. Thank you for joining us, Isaac.
Thank you.
Now, the company, that's International Breweries, has said that its volumes declined in the third quarter of 2022 due to a soft industry and ongoing supply chain constraints. What do you think could be responsible for this?
It's a known fact that the operating environment has not been very easy for the manufacturing companies. If you look across the result that have been released with the manufacturing companies, Nigeria has been able to do significantly well by way of increase in profit after tax to about 80%, and which also translated to an increase in earnings per share to about 82 kobo, representing a 79% increase. But for International Breweries, revenue came up by 24.95%, as it were. But the same revenue, the cost of sales also grew at about 13.92%. Now, the revenue was washed away by administrative and marketing expenses at about 24.96%. So, and that translated into a loss position when you also consider the fact that net finance cost stood at 227%. So it tells you a lot about the impact.
All right, talking about the factors responsible for the loss recorded by International Breweries, which is currently at the stock exchange, the floor of the stock exchange now, presenting the facts behind the figures. And of course, we are speaking with Isaac, talking to us about all of these issues and how the outlook or what the future looks like for International Breweries, looking at the fact that they saw a jump in their cost of sales for the period, and this is amidst the rising inflation. Thank you for joining us again, Isaac.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, let's also look at the fact that International Breweries saw an increase in their cost of sales for this period, and this is amidst the rising inflation currently witnessed in the country. How do you respond to this?
Yeah, it is expected. It is quite expected that there should be an increase in the cost of sales because they are not operating in isolation with the realities of the Nigerian economy. The prices of virtually everything has gone up, and if you look at the issue of raw materials, you also have to look at what is happening in the international environment. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has actually impacted on the availability of grains, and of course, you expect that to also have a trickle-down effect on import duties as far as grain as a component of production is concerned. You also have to look at the fact that the exchange rate has not been steady. You have seen multiple increases over time in the monetary policy rate by the CBN as a way of checking inflation. So that will also have to impact negatively.
Well, let's also look at the fact that other expenses led to a loss for the period to the tune of 3.1 billion naira, and that's in comparison to 2.2 billion naira the same period last year. How do you react to this? Isaac, can you hear me?
Yeah, the loss as we have seen is more like coming down compared with the realities on ground. The loss for the company is not so much. It's not so much given other parameters. If you look at the loss vis-a-vis some other components of that report, you will see that I think the loss is even coming down because you have the earnings per share, the basic earnings per share, which has which is now in the neighborhood of 10 kobo, as opposed to the previous position of 52 kobo. So that tells you that there is hope. There is hope for international breweries going forward.
But let's also look at the gross profits, which stood at 10 billion naira from 13 billion naira in the same period last year. What factors would you say drove this down?
Can you take that again, please?
Looking at the 10 billion naira loss, especially from 13 billion naira in the same period last year, what would you say is responsible for this?
Well, the economy generally has been contracting. If you look at that report very well, you'll see that there is an increase in stocks to the tune of about 38 point something percent, above 38% of inventories. Okay, that tells you that those inventories were unsold. Okay, if you had sold out the 38% inventories, goods that are locked up as inventories, it would have affected the report much more positively. So that's also another factor that would have been responsible for the loss position of the company.
But what are your final thoughts? What are your predictions, especially looking at the fact that they are presenting at the floor of the stock exchange right now?
In fact, the event they're having today, the facts behind the figures or facts behind the numbers is a very good opportunity for the company to be able to convince the current investors and potential investors on positive possibilities going forward as far as that company is concerned. So it's a good development. I believe that at the end of the exercise today, the investors will be much more properly briefed on the reasons for some of these losses that the company has been posting. But it is obvious that the operating environment is hostile. It is obvious that the crisis in the international community is affecting. It is obvious that the increase in interest rates would have affected their finance costs. It is obvious that the liquidity in the system, reduced liquidity, would have been responsible for maybe the extent of the sales of the company's products. So all of this put together, by the end of today, we should be in a better position to have a clearer picture on the company going forward. But I think that international breweries, barring other factors, have come to stay, and is also a stock to look at.
But let's also look at the fact that it was actually what topped international breweries topped the losers for the stock market yesterday. They declined by 9.78% to 4 naira 15 kobo. How would you respond to this? Isaac, can you hear me?
Yes, can you take that again?
Yes, we're looking at how the markets performed yesterday and seeing that international breweries led the losers by 9.78% to close at 4 naira 15 kobo. What would you say was responsible for that?
Well, yeah, if a company is posting a result and that result is below the expectation of the investors, of course you expect that there will be reaction from investors. There are last week was agog with lots of these corporate results, and some of the companies had earnings. So it will not be rational immediately for investors to leave those stocks that they are posting profit and now buy into stocks, that equities that are not posting profit. So that's a normal reaction. But over time, and with the help of the facts behind the figures, which is going on today, there should be a better placement on the value of the company.
But let's also look at NACO topping the gainers, rising by 9.88% to close at 5 naira 67 kobo. What would you attribute that gain to?
Come again?
NACO, that's Nigeria Aviation Handling Company. It led the gainers, gaining 9.88%. 9.88% to close at 5 naira 67 kobo. Did you get that? Isaac, can you hear me? Isaac?
Hello?
Okay, it looks like you cannot hear me, but I was asking about...
I wasn't hearing you then.
Yes, I was asking about the market performance yesterday, saying that NACO led the gainers by 9.88% to close at 5 naira 67 kobo. And I was asking you what you think was responsible for that gain in NACO shares.
Yeah, over time, in the last couple of months, we have seen NACO rise and also fall. I think that predominantly NACO has gotten to its bottom as far as the reduction in prices is concerned. So when that happens, we expect a rally around that particular security. When a stock drops in prices, in its price consistently for some time, it definitely finds a bottom that is a price point or a price level at which investors will begin to take positions again in that particular equity, maybe for speculative purposes.
All right, so let's get your prediction for today. What are your expectations? How will the market close today?
Like I said earlier, for those stocks that have posted very positive results, you expect that investors will begin to take position, and that should, other things being equal, affect their price movements in the positive direction. But most importantly, we have liquidity issues to battle with here, and that is also affecting the momentum in the market. Otherwise, with the result that we have posted last week, we should have expected higher indices in terms of volume, in terms of NGS or share price index, in terms of market capitalization, in terms of number of deals, and in terms of value.
Well, I must appreciate you for your time on the show this morning. Isaac Anyali, say thank you for joining us on Business Breakfast.
You're most welcome. It's my pleasure.
All right, have a great day. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will be linking up with iBrandTV senior analyst Charles Fakroha, who is right now at the floor of the stock exchange, where International Breweries is presenting the facts behind the figures of their performance. We will be right back, and we'll delve into that. Please stay with us.